Predict, pick, and prevail in your fantasy football leagues with Nick Giacobbe and Nick Cap. From breakouts to busts, superstars to sleepers, these are the guys that will help you achieve fantasy glory. This is the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast.
Welcome everybody to our Week 10 live show. Welcome to NFL on Germany, the Seahawks on the Bucks. Welcome to the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast, where we give you our predictions, our picks, with the hopes that we hope you prevail throughout Week 10 and the rest of the 2022 fantasy football season. I'm your host, Nick Giacobbe, and joining me is Nick Cap.
Yo, Nick, this is one of those best days of the year where you get the Primetime FF Pod at 8:30. You get a game right after, and you get to go all the way to 11:30 straight football.
I mean,
one of those great days.
Yeah, it's like 15 hours of football. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Nick, I'm actually going to ask you, if you can, to fire off all our plugs, because I have some Twitter stuff that I got to answer on our Twitter because people are asking about the show, and I do want to make sure I take care of that. But yeah, Nick's going to let you know about the show that we're doing on the live Sundays and what we do during the week.
Sure, I've never done this before, so let's give it a shot.
I put you right on the spot, but I got like 2 DMs. Hey, can I give you fantasy advice? I'm like, well, we can give you fantasy advice, but let me show you where to go.
Fair enough. Check out the @PrimetimeFFPod on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can listen on all audio platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, anywhere where you can find a podcast. You can find the Primetime FF Pod. If you enjoy looking at our handsome mugs, you can check us out on YouTube, which is where most of you are watching us live right now. We go live every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. We have episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday to prepare you for every matchup of the week. If you are on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's help us out. We just hit 100 subs last week. Our goal is to get past that and keep growing for you guys. If you do enjoy the Primetime FF Pod and do sub, you can hit that notification bell on the YouTube app, and you'll be notified every single week when we go live. So highly recommend you do that if you're enjoying the show.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Nick. All right, let's start off with some questions from Stanley. Who do I start, Kareem Hunt or Raheem Mostert? I like Raheem Mostert. I know he's still competing with Jeff Wilson for carries, and I think Jeff Wilson might be a better play rest of season, but Mostert's not hurt. Mostert's still healthy, and he's been a very productive fantasy back through the first half of the season. So I think he's still playing because clearly Nick Chubb's the number one over there. That is not changing. As long as Nick Chubb is healthy, Kareem Hunt's not going to get enough workload where I feel like Raheem Mostert will get enough workload to produce. It just depends on how productive he is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a debate of both of the sides of the ball in the game. That's a tough one. I think I would probably agree with Nick and go Mostert. Hunt has not been a reliable option at the minimum. So I think I would go with Mostert, chase the upside. He's got more of that. He'll definitely see the field a lot more than Mostert probably will. Than Hunt will.
And Stanley, thank you for that compliment. We really do appreciate that. We do try our best. I don't think we're better per se than anybody. I think we're all just predicting and doing our best, but I think we do a good job of at least interacting and getting every question that we can answered on these shows. So Scott Green, a recurring guest, thank you for joining every single week, Scott. We appreciate you. Full PPR, Denver or the Giants defense? I'm not sure how much PPR matters for defenses, but I would do the same thing anyway. I think I like the Denver defense a little bit more. The only offense over there is Derrick Henry, and I don't think any defense can really shut down Derrick Henry, but I think the Denver D can contain Derrick Henry. As for the quarterback, it's going to be a nightmare for the receivers and the quarterback over there in Tennessee. It's going to be really bad. So I would play the Denver defense. I'm playing them in a couple leagues. The Giants have a good matchup, but Davis Mills pulls some games out of his hat sometimes. So I feel like the Texans could end up scoring 20 plus most weeks, or they could score 2.
Yeah, I think either play you'll be completely fine with. I would definitely lean on Denver. Denver's got the more talented defense than the Giants. They have more playmakers. They force more turnovers. I know they lost Bradley Chubb, but they still have a loaded front seven. So they're going to get to the quarterback. They're going to get sacks. They're going to get Malik Willis or Ryan Tannehill. I think it's Tannehill this week off the field. So Denver should have no problem. None of the receivers are going to catch balls. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I think they're definitely the safer play. Where the Texans, they're going to be the Texans have the upside to score 27. Daniel Jones can turn the ball over in the red zone. I like the matchup a lot better for Denver. Nick, your audio is off.
My audio was off. I'm a little congested, so if I have to call for something, I do turn my mic off. Thank you for that, Nick. From Notorious Fan, thank you for joining every week. We do see you here, and we realize that and appreciate it. We got a quarterback matchup here. Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert, or Jacoby Brissett. Interesting one. We talked about this on our Friday show. We both really don't like Justin Herbert this week.
No, I'm not a fan of the matchup for him. Going up against San Francisco, it's one of the toughest teams in the league. Their receivers, I love Palmer, but Palmer has a terrible matchup here. The offensive line's not good. I don't think the Chargers are going to be too efficient on offense in this matchup. So I don't like the other options in their matchups because Cousins at what's it called? Cousins at Buffalo or in Buffalo, in Minnesota facing Buffalo. I don't like that. And Jacoby Brissett, I don't trust him ever. So I probably would roll out the talent of Herbert in that case. But if there's someone else on the waiver wire, throw them out there because I think that there are better plays.
If you want to play the best matchup, play Jacoby Brissett. I even said on the show that he wasn't, a bad play if you needed to replace a quarterback. For Kirk Cousins, though, it's a bad matchup, but I don't know. If Kirk Cousins ever going to play lights out, it's 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins, so he's not in prime time, doesn't have the lights under him. And if he's ever going to show out in a game where he needs to, this is the game. So I feel like this is one of those wonky games where I think Kirk Cousins could actually have a good game, but it's very tough. I think I would play Kirk Cousins or Brissett. If you want to chase the upside of Brissett, I think he's high ceiling, low floor. I think Kirk Cousins may be your safest floor, honestly. It's crazy that I'm saying that. From Stanley again, Herbert or Hunt? I think he means Khalil Herbert, I'm assuming. I think I would edge Khalil Herbert a tiny bit, but it just depends on who gets more volume, and I wish I could tell you who does. I think the gap between Nick Chubb and Hunt is pretty far because Chubb has been the best running back in the league, and Montgomery and Herbert's gap is not as far. So I'll play the one with the smaller gap. I'm a Notorious Fan. I just thought we didn't answer your tight end question. I'm sorry. We'll get back to that after this one. I apologize.
I would go with Herbert in that Lions matchup. This team is running the ball way too well. They're the best rushing team in the NFL at the moment. Between Fields, Monty, and Herbert over the last 4 weeks has had a minimum of 7 carries in each of his games. Kareem Hunt does not get that kind of workload on the ground, so you're just banking on him catching a few balls. Definitely possible, but if I had to take my pick, I'll take the Lions matchup.
All right.
All day.
Going back to the Notorious Fan, a tight end question. Greg Dulcich, Tyler Higbee, a Cole Kmet at tight end. I really like all the options, but I'm going to go with Greg Dulcich here. He's had 3 straight games with double-digit fantasy points ever since he came into the league. Nick, I know you have probably some better Greg Dulcich stats than I do, but yeah, I'd play Dulcich, and the Titans' defense is pretty bad.
I'd roll out Dulcich as well. Like Nick said, double-digit points in all of his matchups. I believe he's averaging the 4th or 5th most points per game. I know it's a small sample size, but at the end of the day, that's the number. So I think roll out Dulcich, take your conservative points. Kmet's only had the 1 good game. Higbee has not been good since the week before the bye. They've really transitioned their offense a lot, and it's been better for the team. Having a young quarterback, a new quarterback for the week with Stafford and concussion protocol.
Yeah, I actually like Higbee
probably
more
helps out Higbee.
Yeah,
but I'd rather take the safer Dulcich double-digit points.
Yeah, I'm with you. From Joe, need 3: Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris, Joshua Palmer, George Pickens, or Greg Dulcich. I actually really like the first name that jumps out to me is Greg Dulcich, Nick. I don't like Joshua Palmer, so I'm going to take him out. If I have to play one Steelers receiver, I'm going to play Deontay Johnson. So I can go with Dulcich, Deontay, and Najee. I don't love it. I really don't, but
I would swap out Dulcich for Palmer as much as I do think Dulcich is a safer play. You have such a low floor on all 3 of those plays. Deontay has such a low floor. He has not been nearly as efficient. He's had 5 catches for 40 yards over the last 5 weeks. That's his average. Najee has not been good for fantasy. He hasn't been great in the NFL. And Dulcich, he has the double-digit points, but there's not too much upside there. Palmer, he's going to get close to, if not more than double-digit targets. You're going to chase a lot of upside there. And if he catches the touchdown, he will blow these other 3 out of the water. So I chase the upside Palmer, take Najee and Deontay.
Yep. From Za, thanks for joining every week. We see you, my friend. Top of the morning, fellas. Top of the morning to you. Made a trade this morning. Got Josh Jacobs and Patterson for Damian Pierce and Jamal Williams. Should I trade him for St. Brown or Olave? I don't know who would you my running backs are Josh Jacobs, Eckler, Barkley,
I
and
think he's
Swift.
trying to trade Swift for one of these guys.
Yeah, if it still got Swift, yeah. If you can trade Swift, yeah, get him off your team. I like the other guys the rest of the season a lot more with Swift battling out with Jamal Williams over there, and I don't think that's going to change. I wouldn't go for Lockett because I feel like he's still just kind of boomer bust. But yeah, if you could go trade
Lockett's
him
been
for,
one of the most consistent receivers for fantasy.
think so.
Yeah, let me pull up the stats for you.
The weeks I play him in my dynasty league, he hasn't played well. Maybe that's why I think he's so boomer bust.
Over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, he only has one game under 11 points. So he's actually been super consistent for fantasy.
Well, that's the Geno effect because he was very inconsistent with Russell Wilson.
MVP Geno. If I told you that in the middle of the season, right? Like out of all the quarterbacks in that division, and we knew who was starting at the start of the year. What if I told you the only starter going into week 10 would be Geno Smith? Stafford's hurt. Kyler might be out.
You're not wrong, yeah.
Lance, of course, we know. That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Man, if you could go get Olave, do it. Like, I don't think anybody's going to trade him, but if you get Olave or Amon-Ra, I would 100% do it for Swift. If you can.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, from Scott again. Golf for Justin Fields. Justin Fields might be the quarterback one of the week. Like, the one. He may score more points than Mahomes. So yeah, play Justin Fields. That's an easy one for sure. Jared Holiday. Jared, thanks for joining every week. We got him off of Twitter. We appreciate you joining and asking questions. Greg Dulcich or TJ Hawkinson. I like Greg Dulcich this week a lot. He has a great match against the Titans. Broncos coming off the bye. I think they're ready to ride. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah, I'd roll out Dulcich as well.
Andy Cap said Broncos country, let's ride. And that Mr. Unlimited will drop 30. Well, I have to play him in my Dynasty League, and I almost played Andy Dalton over him. So I hope you're right.
He is Mr. Limited. As much as we love him, he's
limited.
Mr. Limited.
From Lawazi, thanks for joining every week, my friend. We see you. Hey, guys, should I start between Schultz and Freiermuth? Play Schultz, man. Freiermuth has a really tough matchup against the Saints. No tight end has scored over 9 points against those Saints. Actually, I think Isaiah likely had 9.5, but no tight end has had double digits against the Saints. And I don't see that changing with Freiermuth. They're going to just absolutely abuse Kenny Pickett. It's going to be bad on offense. So play Schultz. Positive matchup. I think the Cowboys may run up the score a little bit because the Packers are pretty bad. So I'd play Schultz. And he's been much better with Dak, by the way. He's Dak's tight end.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I keep telling everybody. You drafted him as the 4th overall tight end to be Dak's tight end, and it's paid off. As Dak's tight end, he's averaging 13 points per game. 13 points per game at the tight end position is the 4th best in football, which is exactly where you drafted him to be. He's only behind Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, and I think he's tied or just slightly like within 1/10 of a point of Zach Ertz. So it's all day. Dalton Schultz should be started as long as Dak is the quarterback.
All right. Thank you for Jared. Thank you guys for the questions. We'll keep answering questions throughout the entirety of the show. We're going to be live till about 9:30 when this game starts. Because I do want to go watch my Seahawks. So yeah. And until then, we will preview some of these games, injuries, best fantasy plays, etc. So first note I have here is actually from Monday Night Football. J.D. McKissick with the neck injury is not going to play for the Eagles. So with that said, do you think Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson are better plays this week?
I still don't think so. They still beat into each other's workload too much. It's definitely going to help being more at probably a 50-50 split. But unless 2 of these guys are out, I'll never be comfortable playing one of them. And if 2 of them are out, I think the other, like any of the 3 are good enough talents where they could finish as a top 10 running back on that week. It's also a tough matchup against the Eagles where I don't like playing the running backs anyway.
I actually don't mind Antonio Gibson as a play because he's kind of taken down over that passing down role that J.D. McKissick had. So if they're going to use Antonio Gibson as a PPR back, I actually don't mind the play at all if you have to play him. I'm playing Antonio Gibson in a league. And I'll tell you the guys that I'm actually starting him over on my bench. I do have T. Higgins on my bench because he is out with the bye. So I'm starting Antonio Gibson over Melvin Gordon, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Warren, and Matt Collins. So I don't hate that. Other note I have here is Jahan Dotson has finally gotten over the hamstring injury, and he should be playing tomorrow night. I don't think he's a fantasy play, but it is something to note because he was having a pretty decent rookie season before that. Going into this 9:30 game in Germany, Seahawks and Bucks. Who are your favorite fantasy plays in this one? Anybody you'd consider benching?
No, I love the overseas games. They typically are fantasy friendly. except to the defensive position. I like playing Lockett. I like DK. I like Kenneth, the same three that we like on Seattle and Tampa. You already know who you're rolling out. You're rolling out. Well, Brady would be the debatable one. Outside of that, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and then I do think Cade Otton is an absolute sleeper in this game.
Okay. I kind of agree with you. And I actually, in that same league I just told you about, I actually have to play Brady because I have Kyler Murray, and I don't think Kyler's playing. So now I'm kind of forced to play Brady, which sucks. So, all right. From Za, would you sell Ertz and Garrett Wilson to get Lockett and roll with Dulcich the rest of the season? Yeah, I mean, Garrett Wilson's been productive though, so I'm not sure. I think you may want to package him for a better receiver because Wilson's been really productive, and I'm not sure it's going to change. I mean, they have to throw the ball to somebody over there, and I think they're going to keep throwing to Garrett Wilson. You're the Jets guy, and Ertz has been very productive as well. I think you could maybe target a better receiver at this point. I would start higher, and then if for some reason, you can't get a higher receiver, then I'd go with Lockett. But what do you think, Nick?
So in games without Corey Davis there, Garrett Wilson's averaging 18 fantasy points per game. So Corey Davis is going to come back at some point this season, but then the question is, did Garrett Wilson trump him as the trusted receiver for Zach Wilson? And I think he did. So you have the most consistent tight end in fantasy in Zach Ertz, and a receiver with a ton of upside that I think you're trading for a more consistent wide receiver. And as much as I like Dulcich, he's only proven it in 3 games. We do need to see it more. I think you can get more value out of that pair than Lockett and rolling with Dulcich. I would try and get a better receiver if you don't feel comfortable with those two guys. But I wouldn't be in a rush to sell either or.
Yeah, I'm with you. You don't really have to go make a move. You don't need to. From Joe, start Dulcich over Everett. I think I would because the 49ers defense is pretty stingy, and I think they're really good against tight ends. I mean, they're good against everything, but I think they're really good against tight ends. So play the matchup here and play Dulcich. I mean, he's proven it in 3 straight games, so I just don't see that changing. They do have a couple mouths to feed over there, and they don't score a ton of points as a team. But we'll see what happens after the bye. But I would go with Dulcich.
Yep, I'm totally on board.
All right, moving on to the 1:00 games. The Minnesota Vikings at the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is dealing with the elbow injury. He is on track to start. They did not elevate Matt Barkley from the practice squad, so they only have one backup quarterback, I believe, dressed. So they are planning on Allen starting and playing the entire game. This is more of a football conversation than a fantasy conversation, but it's probably not the best thing to do for them, especially when he's their MVP. But, there you go, I guess. Nick, first off, let's start with the Bills. How do you think this Allen injury could affect Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis? Does Devin Singletary get a bump? What do you think?
I think the biggest loser is absolutely going to be Gabe Davis on this because he's not going to air the ball out that much. Gabe Davis's depth of target is north of 20 yards. So that's Gabe Davis's role on the team. He's the burner. You get open deep. Josh Allen hits him deep. I don't think Josh Allen's going to push to test that arm. I think they're going to simplify the offense, try to keep him safe, try and get him to and through the playoffs. I know there's a baseball coach that I know that said that based on the injury and what he saw, and he read the report, that he thinks that the UCL injury is going to require the equivalent Tommy John surgery. For a football player, you can play through it because it's not like baseball where you're throwing 100 miles an hour 100 times a game. But at the end of the day, knowing that he needs that, he's playing with a lot of pain. He's probably going to be limited to 30 to 35 throws a game. They're going to try not to give too much up. So I am worried for the receivers over there. He did also tell me that he thinks he's going to play through the rest of the season. He'll have surgery during the offseason, then he'll be out for all of next season and potentially the beginning of the following season. So
that'd be nuts.
That would be crazy. So
that's got to be worst case scenario, I think, for them.
Worst case scenarios is he damages it further this year and then he misses the rest of the season and all the next season. But still, I mean, Josh Allen's arm will never be the same.
Yep.
That happens.
All right. From Pig's Feet, I'm in a pinch at flex. My options are Melvin Gordon, Matt Collins, or Rachaad White. Help me out, fam. I don't love playing Rachaad White. The Seahawks defense has been pretty stout against running backs, and I think Fournette's still the running back 1 over there. Nick actually really likes Leonard Fournette this week, so I'm not sure how much Nick would like Rachaad White. Melvin Gordon's in a committee, but I do like Matt Collins. He's going up against a tough Indy defense, but Indy looks really bad as a football team right now, and I just don't see that changing. Matt Collins has played well with and without Hunter Renfrow. And in this season, he already has 3 games over double-digit fantasy points. It's not a lot. It's not a great stat line, but I think Derek Carr has chemistry with him. And without Darren Waller and without Hunter Renfrow, I think he gets a pretty big boost on most weeks. So I would play Matt Collins.
Totally on board. That's who I would have went with.
All right. And then on the other side of the ball for the Vikings and for the Vikings side, how worried are we about those skilled position players? The Bills defense is really good against everything. I'll start. I'm a bit worried about Dalvin Cook. I think he's only had 100 yards once or twice this season, and now he's facing a really stout front seven. I just think it's a really bad matchup for Dalvin Cook.
I'm still worried, but I think you do still have to roll him out there. Like, that's one of those where it is what it is. It's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
And you got to play your stars. I am worried about Adam Thielen. I'm benching Adam Thielen in every league that I own him, which is none. But I am advising everybody that does own him. I do think this is a terrible matchup for him.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears, and what could be the highest scoring game of the week. We'll see. DeAndre Swift with the ankle and shoulder injury was removed from the final injury report. So with that said, that's pretty good. So I think Swift is kind of 100%, could be getting 100% workload. For this game, I think everybody's a fantasy play. Jared Goff's a decent start. Fields is a must start. Darnell Mooney's a start in a flex spot. Cole Kmet can be started. Amon-Ra should be definitely started. Swift and Jamal Williams. Who would you say are your top 2 starts in this game since they're all so startable?
That's a good question. I would say Justin Fields, absolutely. I think he has, like you said earlier in the show, QB1 potential on the week. I think he's the guy that you have to start everywhere. And then I would say Amon-Ra. He hasn't been right since week 2. He hasn't scored more than 14 fantasy points. He was injured for some of those games, but even in the games he was playing, he was scoring like 10 or sub 10. So I think this is a good get right game for him. That Chicago defense traded away 2 key pieces at the trade deadline or right before it. So they haven't been right. They're letting up a lot of points. So let's see if they can get rolling again. I think Amon-Ra has a lot of upside for that.
Okay. I wonder if we're not seeing Facebook comments today. I'm going to go on Facebook and just actually type in because I haven't seen anything come from Facebook. So if you're listening on Facebook and for whatever reason we didn't answer your question, I do apologize about that. I'm going to check, though, just to make sure. I'm just going to write test. This happened at work with our stream one day. Facebook just did not work, but I'm testing. All right. No, it worked. Okay, cool. All right. Next game, the Denver Broncos are going to ride against the Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill's ankle's good. He's expected to start per Ian Rappaport. And here's an interesting one. Treylon Burks is activated off the IR. He's expected to play. I'm advising everybody watching the show to go check your waiver wires and go pick up Treylon Burks. I wouldn't play him today, but this is a rest of season play. They needed an alpha wide receiver over there. I think there's a chance he could play that role. Tannehill's looked abysmal, but I don't think he has a solid receiver over there. This could be the receiver that he starts targeting over the next 6 to 8 weeks. I'm not saying he's going to post ridiculous stats, but Amon-Ra St. Brown won leagues last year from weeks like 12 to 16. So I think Treylon Burks is worth an add on a stash, and I would do it today before he steps on the field because he's probably flying under the radar in a lot of leagues.
I back that. I liked Burks before the year to take over that wide receiver 1 role. They were comfortable giving up A.J. Brown for a draft pick to go use on him. So clearly they saw a lot of upside in him. I don't think they abandoned him after an injury early on in the season. I think they try and get him back in his groove and figure it out with him. So I agree with you. I think he could be a good championship play. And if you're in dynasty or keeper format, it's pretty much going to be one of the best values at your pick if he does pan out.
And I know we really do like these Broncos skill position players this week, but who's your favorite top 2 starts on the Denver side of the ball?
Oh, well, I had 2, clearly. It's Sutton and Judy. I wanted to put all on my all boom team, but Nick stole my guy. He stole 2 of my guys this week. But I respect it. I respect the game. I respect the hustle. I respect the grind. But we all know those Broncos are going to ride this week. I'm all on board with the Broncos getting back to form. Well, I guess getting to form because
to form. They've never gotten to form this season.
All year.
Their expectations have really fallen flat the entire season. Okay. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs. Evan Ingram with a back injury was removed from the injury report. He's still a good play. and Mecole Hardman with the abdomen will not play. Nick, you had, I believe you had Mecole Hardman on your all boom team.
All boom.
So is there a Chiefs receiver that you would like to replace him with, or were you just saying Hardman because you believe in the player?
I believed in the player because I saw the consistency, but I mean, I don't know, because I would like to say Kadarius Toney, but we still didn't even see him on the field that much last week. So I don't feel comfortable starting number 2 for Kansas City yet. Mecole Hardman would be the one that I did trust. I think the only bumps that I would give are, I mean, all of them get a little bump, but Kelsey and Juju, I think he's just going to go back to his top 2. I don't know if Sky Moore, MVS, or Kadarius Toney will be the third weapon out there. So,
okay,
not comfortable.
All right, and do you have Twitter open just in case we get any questions over there? Okay, cool. All right. I really like ETN this week, by the way, and I like him every week. I know you like Christian Kirk a lot this week too. I think this could be a really fantasy friendly game over there in Arrowhead for both sides of the ball.
Yep.
Cleveland Browns at the Miami Dolphins. David Njoku with the ankle has been ruled out. That kind of sucks because it was a really favorable matchup. Hey, Deshaun, what's up, man? Let us know what questions you got today. This is going to be a big fantasy game too. I don't think either of the defenses are really good, so Nick Chubb should have a day. Cooper should have a day. Donovan Peoples-Jones should have a nice day if you flex him. And on the Dolphins side of the ball, Tyreek Hill's been the best wide receiver in football, both in fantasy and real life. And it's not a lie. That's the reality. Yeah. And Jalen Waddle's been incredible as well. So Tua should be a good play as well. So a lot of really good plays over here in that game. Deshaun, do I start Sutton, AJ Dillon, or Kareem Hunt in my flex? Go Cortland Sutton. Really positive matchup. If they're going to get on track this season, this is the game to do it against Tennessee. This is a get-right game.
I completely agree.
All right. From Scott, Debo or Michael Gallup for the flex? Play Debo for sure.
Yeah, rolling on Debo.
He's a stud. He's a stud.
I have a fun stat about this game with the
Browns and the
Dolphins that I want to share.
Okay.
So Amari Cooper or Jacoby Brissett ranks 37th in accurate passing. So that means that when Deshaun Watson gets back, if he's an semi-accurate quarterback and when he gets in his groove, Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones could be league winners. Do you want to know who's thrown the most or who has received the most uncatchable balls in the NFL?
Kyle Pitts.
Tyreek Hill.
No way, really? It's not Kyle
swear
Pitts.
to God. So Tyreek Hill is doing
sure
this.
It was Kyle Pitts.
I would have thought. I mean, Pitts would be a great guess, but off volume, and I do think the backup quarterbacks had something to do with it for that 3-week span. But like, Tyreek Hill has 1,000 yards already, and if he didn't have the total, the most uncatchable passes thrown his way, there's a very good shot he would be at like 1,400 to 1,500 already.
That's insane. That's insane. I don't think people are appreciating how good he's been this season.
I've been calling him the best receiver in football for 3 years. So
you have.
I'm happy to see that he is getting his appreciation now.
All right. From Deshaun, a 16-man league. Do I pick up Galladay and start him over Lorenzo Carter or DeAndre Carter or Nico Collins? So his options basically are Kenny Galladay, DeAndre Carter, or Nico Collins. I think Nico Collins is a bit banged up. I think he missed last week and he's still a bit banged up. Galladay's going to play. I mean, I think I'll play Galladay because he's versing the Texans and it's a really good matchup. And the Giants still haven't gotten an alpha dog wide receiver. So if Galladay plays well today, I think he assumes that role. So I would take a flyer on Galladay, but the 16-man league. I know you're not going to have the best options in the flex, but that's rough.
I wouldn't start him over DeAndre Carter. I do think you could chase the upside of that Chargers matchup in a deeper league, and just chase the volume that Herbert's going to have to throw in a game where they're down. Like, they're 7-point underdogs. I didn't think it would be that big, but I do think, like, everybody knows that the Chargers are going to get reality check this week.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. From Killa, hey guys, who would you sit out of these 4? Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, or Dalvin Cook, or start Amon-Ra over one of them at the flex? I like starting Amon-Ra over Aaron Jones or Dalvin Cook. I want to put Jonathan Taylor in there 100%. Great matchup against the Raiders. New coach as a former offensive lineman. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. Deion Jackson's also banged up. Jonathan Taylor needs to be locked in. Tony Pollard, I think, is going to start for the Cowboys. That's a really good matchup for him. He's been phenomenal when he's been a starter. Lock those 2 in. So if you could play 2 more, Amon-Ra, I'm putting him over Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones. And if I had to play a 4th, I think I'll play Dalvin Cook and sit Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is still dealing with an injury from last week. He's going to play, but it's a really bad matchup against the Cowboys. And I think AJ Dillon gets a lot of work today.
I agree. Jonathan Taylor would be my favorite play of the game. My least favorite game would also be Aaron Jones. I think I would put Amon-Ra at 2 over Tony Pollard and Dalvin Cook. And then it would come down to if Zeke is playing or not. If Zeke is out, then you have to roll Tony Pollard. If Zeke is in, roll Dalvin Cook out.
All right. From George. Hey, George. George, what kind of doggy is that? That's cute. I want to know what kind of dog you got. If that's your dog. If it's not, then it's just a cute dog. Deontay Johnson against the banged up Saints D or Christian Kirk versus Kansas City? You're answering this one first. This is your question.
Oh, well, it's Christian Kirk easily. Deontay Johnson has been one of the worst receivers in fantasy football since Kenny Pickett has been in there. Let me pull up the stats for you because I had to pull them up for one of our episodes.
Nick
I'm
also
sorry
really
if I'm thrown off, but I have baseball YouTube trying to violate.
Oh, don't worry. We'll put that comment up. Don't worry. We got it.
Yeah.
We like hashtags on the show.
Yeah.
Nick has Christian Kirk on his all boom team this week. That's why I was letting him go first.
So,
I've been anti Christian Kirk for most of the season, but I will put Kirk over Deontay Johnson as a Deontay Johnson owner in 2 leagues. I have zero to little confidence playing him. I have to, but he hasn't gotten in the end zone once, and he's not catching the balls that he normally catches. So,
Christian Kirk, Kansas City is bottom 7 against opposing wide receivers, so they're allowing a lot of points there. He's averaging 8 targets a game over the entire season, so he's seeing consistent volume. Jacksonville pretty much is going to play from behind, meaning Trevor is going to have to throw for the entire game. And he's averaging 15-plus points per game over the last 3 games. So he's gone back to being a consistent wide receiver, so there's not too much that you need to worry about. For Deontay Johnson, in his last 5 games, he scored sub-11, only 1 game in double digits. He's getting a ton of workload. His stats are like DJ Moore last year, but his depth of target is so much shorter. He in the games with Kenny Pickett, he has literally 5 catches in all of them, and he's averaging about 8 yards per catch. He hasn't scored a touchdown all year. So it literally by that metric means he's going to get 5 catches for 40 yards. Like that's the average. That's the line for him. The projection every week should be 9 points for Deontay Johnson moving forward.
All right, we appreciate you, Deshaun. We appreciate everybody joining the show today and every week, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter on the Primetime Fantasy Podcast. From baseball YouTube, Friar Youth or Komet can't beat Grandma Bobchi. Nick, is there something you may want to comment about that hashtag?
I lost to Grandma Bobchi.
Uh-oh. That's not good. Oh, man. That's
okay.
Rough, man. All right.
I lost my 5 or 6 game winning streak. I still have the 1 seed, but standalone 1 seed, but it's all good.
There you go.
I did lose. I have 2 losses and Grandma Bobchi's on. Baseball YouTube is one of my wins on the other side, though. I'll be honest.
Is that our
can't beat host Cap, I guess.
Uh-oh. Is that I don't want to say who it is. Is it your
That is my girlfriend's dad.
Okay, I that's what I thought. I didn't want to out.
It's okay. That's fine.
That's fine. We see your questions, guys. We're gonna get to them, so we're gonna one by one. We'll get to them. All right. To answer this question, Pat Freiermuth has an awful matchup against the Saints. Really awful. No tight end has gotten double-digit fantasy points against the Saints. If Freiermuth does it today, then I have to stop saying that stat every week. I bust a tight end, which sucks because I love using that stat. So I play Cole Kmet. He has a more positive matchup. Got in the end zone last week. He's more productive the last few weeks. Play Cole Kmet.
I don't like playing either or. Kmet does have the upside, but I think Freiermuth has the safer floor.
Okay.
Kmet only has this 1 boom game, which gave us confidence, where Freiermuth is receiving like 7.5 targets per game with Kenny Pickett at quarterback. So of volume alone, I would probably lean Freiermuth, but I don't like either matchup.
Okay. From Killa, thanks, guys. Wishing you good luck today. Wishing you good luck to you as well, my friend. Thank you for joining. Thanks for asking a question. We appreciate that. Doggie's a golden doodle. That's really cute. I love doggies. Mine's named Russ. It's really unfortunate, and he's fat. He's a good
Nick
boy.
yells at Russ every podcast, so
I have to yell at Russ because Russ starts licking himself, and I have to mute my mic and yell at him. So if you see me go like this, I'm just yelling at him, and he looks at me with his big old ears. He's like, "Why'd you yell at me?" All right. From Calvo, thanks for joining, Calvo. I think we've seen you a couple times on the show. This is a nightmare question. DeAndre Swift or Jamal Williams. Calvo, first off, do you have any other running backs that you can bench? Because I'd like to play both. My gut tells me Jamal Williams because he gets the goal line carries, and I want touchdowns. And I feel like they're going to use him a little bit more on the ground. I think Swift's more of at this point, I guess, going to catch more passes than more rushes on the ground. So I'll go with Jamal Williams, but I would love to play both. And this is just a nightmare question to ask. So let me know if you could bench another running back.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually mind playing the stack. I agree with Nick here. I don't know who your other running back is, but drop him in the chat.
Yep. Another question from Calvin. Pick one: Deontay Johnson, Darnell Mooney, or Sutton. Take Deontay Johnson, crumple him up in a ball, shoot him in the trash, and hopefully you make it. Darnell Mooney and Courtland Sutton. It's a toss-up, man. Darnell Mooney has been really good the last 4 weeks. He has a better matchup. He's the wide receiver 1. I do like Courtland Sutton this week. He's on my boom team. But you know what, Nick? I'm going to edge Darnell Mooney because I know he's the wide receiver 1, and I'm afraid that Sutton's the third option on this team right now behind Dulcich and Judy.
That's fair. I'm going to counter that because I'm the one at the start of the year that said I'm not drafting the wide receiver 2 for a team in the top 10, which is where T. Higgins was going. And I was proven wrong by Jalen Waddle. I was kind of proven wrong by T. Higgins because he's been so efficient. Wide receiver 2s on high-powered offenses do well. Broncos are not a high-power offense, but I do think they get their motor going this week. I do think the Broncos country is going to ride this week. I do like playing Courtland Sutton in this favorable matchup.
All right, so I am going to bump up Calvo's question here because he's responding to us. His running backs are Kenneth Walker and Najee Harris, also Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So if you could play 3 running backs, right? Play Kenneth Walker, don't love the matchup, but lock him in, Najee and Jamal Williams. Bench Clyde Edwards-Helaire and bench Najee Harris. That's what I would do if you can.
You mean bench Clyde and bench Swift? Or bench Clyde and bench Najee?
Bench Clyde and bench Najee, then play Kenneth Walker, Swift, and Jamal Williams.
I'm on board.
If you only want to play 2 running backs, I don't love Kenneth Walker's matchup. I really don't, but I would play Kenneth Walker and Jamal Williams. But if you could play 3, put Swift in there ahead of Najee and Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Totally agree.
From Joe, fun fact, the Steelers' longest touchdown of the year so far has been 8 yards. That's horrible,
That's Deontay
man.
Johnson's depth of target. So
that's horrible, man.
That's really bad.
From Jesus, thanks for joining every week, my friend. DK Metcalf, Joshua Palmer, Jonathan Taylor, full PPR start too. Jonathan Taylor for 100% sure and play DK Metcalf.
Totally agree.
All right, from A Breezy Promotions, Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Kenneth Walker, Damian Pierce. I could start 3 non-PPR. I don't like Kenneth Walker's matchup this week. I really don't, but the Seahawks like using him, especially within the 5-yard line. So play Kenneth Walker. He has a touchdown upside. Same thing with Damian Pierce. Play Damian Pierce. And if I have to play a third, Dalvin Cook. Najee Harris, to me, I really don't want to play him in most matchups. If I can avoid it, I'm going to avoid it.
I'm totally on board with that.
All right, Deshaun, 16-man league. Do I start Matt Breida or Deontay or DeAndre Hilliard at running back 2?
Hilliard.
Hilliard, yeah, play Hilliard. All right, thank you for the questions, guys. Going to keep keep answering those questions until about 9:30. Got about 25 minutes left, so keep asking those questions. We'll keep answering them. Going to go back to doing game-by-game predictions / previews. Next up, we got the Houston Texans versus the New York Giants. The Giants have been a pretty solid defense this year, especially against wide receivers. Damian Pierce has been dealing with a chest and shoulder injury for the last couple of weeks, but wasn't on the final injury report. Brandon Cooks with a wrist injury is expected to play. And I believe Kenny Galladay is also playing. And thank you, Calvo, for joining. Thanks for asking some questions. We appreciate seeing you. Best of luck in your leagues this week. Again, we do the show every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We appreciate all of you guys joining and asking questions. Nick, Texan. Oh, we got a question. Let's roll this in. Brian Robinson or Najee Harris, PPR only options as running back 2 from Rick.
I'd roll out Najee. I still don't like Brian Robinson against the Eagles.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on that. Who did the Steelers have this week again? The Steelers have the Saints. That's just such a tough defense. I hate it. I hate it so much, but Robinson's a tough matchup too. I would roll out Najee Harris, but this is really tough, man. I would go with Najee. All right, from Ryan Mahoney. Thanks for joining, Ryan. I think we've seen you a couple times in here. We appreciate that. Rashad White or Darrell Henderson PPR? Go Darrell Henderson. They have a new quarterback coming in there that might lean on the running game a bit more. Rashad White has looked good, but Seahawks defense is pretty stout, and Nick really likes Leonard Fournette this week. So I would rather play Darrell Henderson knowing he has a chance to be the running back 1 rather than the backup running back for the Bucs.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there.
Okay, so we appreciate you as well, Rick. Thank you. Breezy goes, I have an open spot in my league. Do you think Andy Dalton is a better play than Najee with Mika out? 100%. Are you able to start a quarterback over Najee? If so, yes. Yes.
Yep, I'm aware.
Bingo, 100%. Can you, is this a super flex league? I'm just curious. So let us know if that's a super flex league. But yeah, if you could play Andy Dalton over Najee, 1,000,000,000% yes. All right, Nick. Your thoughts on the Texans and Giants game from a fantasy perspective?
I like Dameon Pierce. I like Saquon Barkley. I don't like any single other play from either side of the ball. Maybe the defenses. That's it.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you on all that. All right. Last game of the morning slate, or the morning slate, early afternoon slate. He says, yeah, OP's any offensive player. Yes, play Andy Dalton. I considered playing Andy Dalton over Russell Wilson and didn't have the balls to do it, if I'm being completely honest with you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for asking the question. New Orleans Saints versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. My thoughts on this, Nick, is that the Saints defense is really good and the Steelers offense is really bad. So this is going to be really bad for playing your Steelers. I like Chris Olave. I like Andy Dalton, and I like Alvin Kamara. I don't like any Steeler. I don't.
No, yeah, I'm literally on the same board as you.
And I like the Saints defense as a play, actually.
We both have very similar mindsets, I noticed, when it comes to fantasy. There's a handful we totally disagree on.
We have similar mindsets with a lot of things. That's why my girlfriend doesn't like when we discuss stuff, because we have the same mind, she says. Indianapolis Colts versus the Las Vegas Raiders, first game of the 4:00 slot. Sam Ehlinger is starting with Matt Ryan breathing down his neck. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Matt Ryan by the second quarter, if I'm being completely honest with you. Jonathan Taylor is not listed on the final injury report with the ankle injury. Should get a big workload today and should have a very productive day against a really horrendously bad defense. And then we have Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, both on the IR. They are out. We have some questions. Let me get to those questions before we talk about this. From Steven, I don't know how to say your last name, Grease. I apologize for that. Battling a flex decision, full PPR, Gabriel Davis versus Jeff Wilson. Ooh. What do you think?
I'm rolling out Jeff Wilson all day. Jeff Wilson saw like a 40 to 50% snap count in his first week, and he scored 16 points for them. If he gets the more, there's Nick yelling at Ross.
Yeah. Now he's looking at me. The ears are perked out. What do they do? You've been licking, bud. You're not supposed to lick your paws.
Yeah, again, like 16 point. He scored 16 points last week, where he only saw like a 50% snap share. If he gets up to 70%, he's a 20 point per game plus guy. So, in a very favorable matchup, absolutely lock him in.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I'm a Gabriel Davis guy, but this injury to Josh Allen does scare me. I don't know what his arm's going to look like. I think they could throw short, most of the game, and that's not Gabriel Davis's game. So I'd play Jeff Wilson. From Finstorm, Chris Olave or Mike Evans PPR, Gino or Dak 4-point quarterback. Is there a way you could play both on the receiver side? They're both so good. Like, is there any way you could play both? Please let us know who your receivers are. I know the Germany game starts in like 10 minutes. Please let us know if there's any other receivers that might be benchable. Olave might. I'm going to go Olave. It's crazy to say, but Olave's been so solid this season. He has a great matchup. Mika Fitzpatrick's out. He says he's got Waddle and Debo. So you could play three, I'm assuming. So Mike Evans, Chris Olave, Waddle, and Debo. I think I would bench Debo, if I'm being honest. I would bench Debo and Mike Evans. I think I really want to lock in Waddle and Olave.
I would
not starting. He says he's not starting Debo with CMC. Only two. If I can only play two, I think I'm playing Olave and Waddle, if I'm being honest with you. Mike Evans is so talented, but these two have been top 10 receivers, and Mike Evans hasn't been. The Bucs aren't scoring enough fantasy points.
I'm going to go Waddle and Debo here. The Chargers have like the 30th ranked defense in the league. Debo's role is going to be like incredible in this game. I think Debo has to be locked into every lineup, and Jalen Waddle, you just can't bench at this point. He has too much ceiling. He has such a high floor. It's crazy. And I know Olave has been very conservative, but I would go chase the upside all day. I think Waddle and Debo can combine for 60 plus.
But I think Olave has upside.
I only think he's cracked like 20 points once or twice though this year.
He's facing a really bad defense. The Steelers are really, really bad.
Don't they get TJ Watt back this week as well?
I think they do, but they don't have Mika Fitzpatrick back there. The Steelers are good up the second most fantasy points to wide receivers, and now they don't have their Pro Bowl superstar safety.
What's Debo at? Or the Chargers?
The Chargers are at they're not in the top 10. I don't see them in the top 10 of allowing fantasy points to receivers. They're like 15. Okay. Olave has the best matchup. If you want to play the matchup,
I'd roll out Debo's talent, but I'm not opposed.
All right. To the idea. From Jay Judah, Greg Dulcich or Dalton Schultz? I love this question. Gotten it a couple times to show. I like Greg Dulcich a little bit more.
Yep, completely agree.
All right. From Mordenheim, thanks for joining me. See you every week, my friend. Brandon Ayuk, Chris Godwin, Joshua Palmer, Cortland Sutton need to have PPR. Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining. Taking out Palmer to make this easy. Then I'm going to take out Ayuk to make it easy as well. Cortland Sutton and Chris Godwin.
Yep, going Cortland Sutton and Chris Godwin.
Finn, I'm sorry, I did miss your second question because we got wrapped up in the wide receiver question. I apologize. Geno or Dak 4 point? Play Geno. Geno's been good.
Yeah, I would go with Geno as well.
All right. So Jay Judah's quarterback is Herbert. Would you trade Henry for Lamar and Chubb, even with Henry's playoff schedule? I mean, Chubb's been really good. I just don't really love playing Derrick Henry. I mean, I'm trading Derrick Henry. What is Derrick Henry's
I don't
schedule?
like the idea of trading Henry either.
I mean, for getting Chubb back, I don't hate it, but I mean, Derrick Henry's playoff schedule is the Chargers, Houston, and Dallas. Those first two are give-me's. Derrick Henry's going to get you to your fantasy championship. Don't trade. And he has Jacksonville before, too. Derrick Henry's schedule is Denver, tough. Green Bay, tough. Cincinnati, you can run against them. Philly's tough. But then his last 4 weeks are Jacksonville, the Chargers, Houston, and Dallas. Those 3 weeks right there, he's going to put a monster stat line for you. So I would not trade Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not going to trust Nick Chubb, and we don't know what that offense is going to look like when Deshaun Watson's back.
Yeah. From Finn, thank you guys. Thank you, Finn, for joining. Thank you for asking the question. We appreciate that. We'll be live for about another 15 minutes. So, we'd love to answer your fantasy questions and keep helping you out. All right, Colts, Raiders. Who do you like in this one, if anybody, besides Jonathan Taylor?
I like JT. I don't like any of the receiving options over there as much as me and Nick love Pittman. We don't know what that offense is going to look like. The only thing we do know is that Jonathan Taylor is healthy and the lone running back in that backfield. On the other side of the ball, I like the Matt Collins move. Devontae, of course, is a lock. Josh Jacobs is a lock. I think you can get away with Derek Carr if you need if you have one of your quarterbacks on bye or you need like a low end QB1, high end QB2. I think you can get away with Carr this week.
Yep, I think you nailed it. All right, Dallas Cowboys versus the Green Bay Packers in America's game of the week that they've been hyping up for the past 2 weeks, which really shouldn't be a game of the week because it's not going to be pretty. Ezekiel Elliott with a knee. A decision will not be made until pregame. He's going to test it. It does not sound like he's going to play. And here's the thing: it's a 4:00 game. So Nick, I'm advising people to bench him. I don't think you could play him.
No, I agree. I don't think Zeke has looked good this year, even as a starter, and it's a tough matchup regardless. So, I would not put Zeke out there, even if he plays his normal workload. I can't guarantee it'll be a good game. So I'm not comfortable starting Zeke.
Yeah, Tony Pollard's looked like the better running back throughout basically all this season. So
he's looked like the better running back for the last 2 or 3 years, honestly.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that at all. So, do you like Tony Pollard as a play this week? The Green Bay defense has been pretty stout as well. Not like the Cowboys, but they've still been pretty stout.
I don't hate the play, but I mean, if Zeke is out, I think Tony Pollard's a lock every week. Like, you drafted him to be one of the best 2 handcuffs in fantasy football. But if Zeke's there, I'm still not comfortable playing him. They help. I mean, I don't know what coaching staff. I assume it was last. Well, no, it's not. Hold on. I don't know why, but they wanted to limit him to 30 snaps or 30 usages a game.
I think it's Jerry. It's Coach Jones over there.
Yeah, and they said this week, yes, he can totally exceed that. So, why are you putting on that kind of limitation? I don't get the Cowboys.
I wonder if it's the size. I wonder if it's the size that they're worried about there. They're very weird with Tony Pollard. It's weird. All right. What about I think do you have CeeDee Lamb on a boom or bust team? Where do you have CeeDee this week?
I have him on a bust team.
Okay, so talk about CeeDee Lamb. Why is he a bust, and would you bench him?
Yeah, I'm not benching him because of the pure workload, and there is upside for him. And he's been super consistent. He has 7 games over 10 points. But he hasn't been dominant. Like, he hasn't been the guy that you wanted in the second or third round. And it's purely because of the talent on the field. He's also going to get shadowed by Jair all day, which I don't like for any receiver typically. And he's putting up like his stat line is very similar to what we saw with Allen Robinson in Jacksonville and early on in Chicago, where it's like workload is like he has a good amount of talent that can like lead to good targets, that lead to good catches, but he doesn't do much with it. Like, he gets it and that's it. So I like CeeDee Lamb. I like him as a play most weeks, but I am a little scared of the matchup. I don't think I'd bench him because, like I said, that workload is there and it is good. And Dak does have a good arm, unlike Kenny Pickett with Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
But I still I'm fearful for the matchup that he's not going to be as good as he has been.
Yep, I'm with you on that. All right, Arizona Cardinals at the Los Angeles Rams. This is a messy fantasy game now. It looks like John Wolford's going to start for the Rams over Matthew Stafford because of the concussion injury. It also looks like Kyler Murray is going to be out with a hamstring injury. I don't think you could start either of them unless you have like a backup that you would play. But like I'm starting Tom Brady at 9:30 over Kyler Murray because I'm worried that he doesn't start. You can't take a goose egg in your lineup. So what do you think on that? Do you trust a guy at the 1 o'clock slot like Trevor Lawrence or Derek Carr just in case?
Yeah. I was actually, the reason I've been looking down at my phone so much is because I realized I was starting Kyler Murray in a league and I wanted to see who my backup was just in case I could play them, and it was Kirk Cousins. And I didn't want to play Kirk Cousins, so I was looking through the options to see who was available. I saw like Aaron Rodgers, who I didn't want to use, and Jared Goff, who I said, all right, I'll chase the upside of that matchup. If I think Kyler Murray could have a spectacular day, but the injury bothers me, and the fact that there's still no decision on him makes me think they're going to force him out there, and he could get benched early on if it's not working out. It's the same thing we saw with Keenan Allen and other players.
Yeah, it's a bit messy. I'm going through my lineups as well because I know this game's going to start in a couple minutes. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the wide receiver ones first. Do you think that these backup quarterbacks playing Colt McCoy and John Wolford are going to affect either DeAndre Hopkins or Cooper Kupp?
They're definitely going to affect it. The question is to what degree. I mean, I think both are still must starts. They're both two of the most talented receivers in the game of football. But besides that, I mean, I don't think that you're going to see DeAndre Hopkins go for, the 15 targets that he got 2 of these past 3 weeks. Cooper Kupp, I think, is going to be force fed. I think he's going to, I think Cooper Kupp's the most underrated receiver in the league. And I know that's saying a lot considering he's the top 5, top 10 guy. But the fact is, people regard him as the 6 to 10, where that's not the case. I think he's going to show this week the talent.
All right. I do have a stat or stats that I do want to talk about. I sent Nick a tweet last night. I want to give some credit to this because it's not my stat. From Adam Kofler, he's over at Rotoball. He tweeted, the last time Colt McCoy started for the Cardinals, Rondale Moore saw 11 targets on 21 routes, playing just 40% of the snaps. Just 51 total yards for Rondale, but 16.1 PPR fantasy points on a 52.4% target rate. Moore is now a full-time player and could get targeted a ton tomorrow. So if we are going off of that, I think he could have a really good day. So play Rondale Moore. I think I wouldn't play Rondale Moore over Hopkins, but if Rondale Moore outscores Hopkins, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that.
On the Rams side of the ball, I still think Cooper Kupp is the leading scorer. I don't think he gets outscored by Allen Robinson.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. From XN3, thank you for joining me again, and we see you every week. Najee Harris or Tony Pollard? I'm starting Tony Pollard. I don't want any part of Najee Harris, especially against the Saints defense.
Yeah, I hate that I have to agree with that, but absolutely agree.
What do you think of these running backs, James Conner or Darrell Henderson, and any love for the running backs over there on the Rams and Cardinals game?
I would probably lean Darrell Henderson over James Conner. I don't think Conner is good after the catch. I don't think he's a great runner. He's getting the workload off catching short passes, which fair enough, right? Like he can put up a good fantasy day doing that, but there's not a lot of upside to James Conner anymore.
Yeah.
Like the reason he was so good last year is because he scored 20 touchdowns. He has I think he has 1 this year, maybe 2. So I don't like the upside. I don't like the play. I don't think he's that good anymore. Where on the flip side, I think Darrell Henderson, you're going to get lackluster quarterback play from a coach that prefers running the ball anyway. So I do think Henderson could have a solid day here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The other thing with James Conner is the Cardinals' offensive line has been pretty horrific, so the line's not going to help him out. And he's running into Aaron Donald. XN3, Rondale Moore or Gabriel Davis? We just spoke about Rondale Moore. I don't know if you heard the stats that I stated, but play Rondale Moore. Gabe Davis it's bad with Josh Allen. I'd play Rondale Moore.
I agree.
I also want to note Matt Prater with a hip injury and illness was questionable, did not travel with the Cardinals. He can still travel and play today, but I don't think he's going to play. So you need a different kicker if you have Matt Prater as your kicker. Last game, Sunday Night Football. The Chargers at the San Francisco 49ers. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are out. Keenan Allen is now year to year in fantasy football. I don't know if you saw tweets about that, but yeah, he's year to year. And Elijah Mitchell is activated off the IR. I don't see him getting a lot of workload out there with Christian McCaffrey. But you know what? Imagine they give Elijah Moore all the goal line work today. That would be so hilarious and so Kyle Shanahan if that happened. Who do you like or dislike in this game, Nick? Because I know there's some guys that we definitely dislike in this one.
Why don't we just go through all of them because there's so many fantasy.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll go with the quarterbacks first. All right, Justin Herbert.
Don't like. I would bench him if I could.
I hate him. I think he's a bench. I think there's way better plays this week.
Garoppolo. I'd play Garoppolo over Justin Herbert. The Chargers defense is bad.
I think Garoppolo is better than people think. And I still don't trust him. I still can't.
But that Chargers defense is bad. He's tough to trust, but it is bad.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right.
We got some questions in the chat.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna put one up from Stanley. Is Zeke done, or should I drop him and pick up someone else? We'll talk about CMC in a second. I wouldn't drop Zeke, but it's not great.
I agree. You can't. Right. I don't think you could drop him. There's not a lot of waiver wire guys that you're going to feel more confident in.
We'll talk about CMC now. CMC. I think we got to like him as a play this week. You got to like him every week.
I mean, he's a must start every week, but he's dominant. He's going to finish as the RB1.
I said he's going to bust one week and think he had like 18 fantasy points.
Yeah.
All right.
If you take his rushing ability or his receiving ability, like it's good enough any week for that alone to be a good fantasy play. And how you couple the pair together, he's one of the most unstoppable players we've seen in football.
All right. What about on the other side of the ball, Austin Eckler?
I like Eckler. I think he's the better play over there out of the best play on the LA side. But I do not love a lot of the other plays over there. I think they're going to need to lean on Eckler a lot.
Yep. So let's talk about those other plays. First off, for the 49ers, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, which ones do you like? Which ones do you don't like? I like Deebo. Ayuk, there's so many mouths to feed on that offense. I like his talent. I like him on a football team, but on a fantasy football team, I think he has too many bodies in front of him right now.
Yeah, I agree. I like Deebo. I think Deebo is a phenomenal play every week. I think he gets back to form this week. That offense is going to be super dynamic. I don't love Ayuk as much in this matchup because I do think they're going to be winning most of the game. I think they're going to be running the ball. I think they're going to be getting very crafty with how they run that offense, and this will be the week to do it. So I don't love the Ayuk play, even though it is a favorable matchup.
Okay. And on the other side of the ball, Joshua Palmer and DeAndre Carter, I don't want to play either of them, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think it's a bit messy over there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like Joshua Palmer most weeks. Carter, I don't mind. And I think we can be proven wrong because it's very possible that the 49ers go up big early and Justin Herbert playing from behind 50 passes. You need those receivers' points. But if I had to lean one way, I would bank on that doesn't happen. I think they get torn up on the O-line. I think their defense gets torched. I think the receivers get fairly shut down. And I think it's going to be the Everett and Eckler game. And
what about the tight ends? George Kittle and Gerald Everett.
I mean, I love both. I think both are great plays. I think both have top 10 upside.
Is Brady a good play? Do you drop him and play Hurts? Play Hurts every week. If you have to drop a player, I wouldn't drop Brady because he's your backup, but I would drop a different player if you can, but play Jalen Hurts. Don't even overthink it. Don't play Brady.
Yep, completely agree. Hurts should be locked in every single week. It shouldn't even be a question.
Yep, Hurts is lock and load. Don't need to worry about it. I'm a little worried about Gerald Everett. I just feel like this offense can get shut down, and the 49ers are really good against tight ends, just like every other position. I like Kittle a lot more than Gerald Everett in this game.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for asking questions. London games or Germany games about to start, and I could go watch my Seahawks and might be kind of rough. But anyway, thank you for joining. Thank you for asking questions. We appreciate everybody that joins every week and asks those questions. Should I start Everett in my flex over Deontay? No, play Deontay.
Oof, that's a good question.
It is.
I think I'd take Deontay's workload though.
I'll take Deontay as well. Anyway, we do this live show every Sunday, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time to about 9:30, 10 o'clock, depending on the week. We do appreciate you guys joining every week. If you want to connect with us and listen to us during the week, we have 4 shows, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, available on all audio streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor. Just search up our Linktree, search up our social media. All the links are right there. If you're on Spotify or Google or Apple, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. Keep connected with us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, PrimeTimeFFPod, then Facebook and YouTube, Primetime Fantasy Podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Best of luck in those Week 10 matchups. We'll talk to you tomorrow after Week 10.